Woo, panels. There's so much information to take from panels. I hope you enjoyed that one. You can definitely enjoy this one. This is my very good friend, Mike Demo. He's going to be talking about how I became an apocalyptimist about AI and what your agency should do next. He's the basically Demo. I've known you for a long, long time. We worked together on an acquisition you basically bought my company when you were working for another company. So I know you particularly well, but you currently lead the partnership strategy at hosting.com, where you use your experience of over a decade. Is it only a decade? It feels longer than that in hosting. 5 years on the agency side.
So
And
15.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, 15 months. So that's over a decade, I suppose. 5 years on the agency side. And you're a clever chap. You've got an MIT certificate in no code AI. So welcome to Mike Demo. Here's your slide deck. I'm gonna get my coat and go out that way, go out that little door that's pointing there, make myself a little coffee, and I'll be in the background if you need me. Good luck with it. See you.
Awesome. Yeah. Hopefully everyone is having a good afternoon. My name is Mike Demo. This talk is how I became an Apocaloptimist about AI and what your agencies should do next. Gonna do my best to try to keep this at about 20 minutes so that we can get back on schedule for the next hour of talks. Hopefully everyone's enjoying the summit. It's always a great time. So without any further ado, this QR code will be on screen a couple more times throughout, but it'll make more sense throughout the talk. But if you want to scan it, uh, click the free gift icon, fill out the survey with your, there's going to be a spot for a mailing address. Make sure you put your full mailing address, not just your city, not just your country, and not just your address, but everything. And I'm known to send random stuff to people. It won't be anything you have to pay customs or duty on. And more importantly, there's going to be a little matchmaking in there. As Andrew talked about, I do have a certificate in a no-code AI and machine learning from MIT, and I'm using that knowledge to play matchmaker to everyone here at this talk. So not only might you get a cool gift in the mail, you also will be introduced to someone else if you fill it out and opt into it that you'd get along with in like a mentor-mentee relationship. Because at Princeton, they did what's called Match Day, and they used algorithms to match people that wanted to be romantic. And that same code, because it's open source, has been used to match founders and co-founders and all sorts of business things. So definitely check that out. It is super interesting. So anytime you see a link QR code on screen, it'll go to that same thing, click free gift, fill it out. You'll be all set. I'm Mike Demo, Partnerships Lead in North America. That's my email, Twitter, LinkedIn, all that good stuff. And there's that QR code again that we talked about. I am currently the member of the Forbes Agency Council, and I lead the web infrastructure and hosting group at the Forbes Agency Council as well. And I do have a certificate from MIT in no-code AI and machine learning, which, by the way, that is not prompting. It is a lot of calculus, which I did not realize when I signed up for it. So there's that. I am known for probably two things of phrases that I say a lot. I stole this one from a good friend of mine called Jessica Dunbar, who used to be the evangelist for Concrete 5, which is a CMS that's based on PHP, like WordPress, Joomla, etc. I'm not married to a CMS. I'm in an open source relationship. This can apply to what tools you use, what host you use, what if you're using AI, if you're not using AI, any of that stuff. Because, and Andrew will know this because him and I used to have a podcast together called Tools Are Tools. And I would always say tools are tools, just don't be one. I find in the open source community, there is a lot of tribalism inside of which tools you use. Is WordPress still going to be number one in 5 years? What's the best page builder? What's the best backup tool? What's the best host? What's the best form plugin, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. As long as you're doing good work for your clients and doing what you want to do and helping your clients achieve their goals, that's all that really matters. You can be a really successful agency and use Shopify all day long and only use Shopify. You can be a really successful agency and only use AI. You can be a successful agency and not use a CMS at all and still do everything by hand. The tools don't matter. They're just things that are out there to make life easier. We all know Nathan Ingram. He once gave a talk where he said, I hate WordPress. It's going to ruin my business, back when WordPress started to get popular. And you can say the same thing about AI, in my opinion. So, normally I would ask, does anyone know what this is, or where it is? So it's at Disney, it's at Epcot, and the attraction is called Spaceship Earth. And if anyone's been on that attraction, it is a slow moving ride through the history of communication. So it talks about, the caveman days all the way up to the internet and AI and all of the stuff with communication. As us as web developers and web agency owners, all we are doing is helping communicate a message to an audience to fulfill a need that, 20 years ago, that might have been in print, as a primary medium in catalogs. Now it's maybe mobile apps or online or whatever the case may be. So I always like to think of Spaceship Earth as how everything kind of evolves, like through movable type and the masses being able to share opinions. And it's a really powerful tool and something that we shouldn't take for granted. You might have seen these billboards. They're all around the world. AI company trolls San Francisco billboards with "Stop hiring humans." It's a company called Artisan, and this is what a lot of people are afraid of with AI. There's actually a film that's called the AI Doc, or How I Became an Optimist, which is how I stole it for my title here. And it's all about AI, and it's about, is the world going to end, or is it going to be the best thing ever? And the filmmaker kind of talks about two different camps about AI. And I feel like the same thing happens when we talk about it in agency life. There's two camps. Camp number one, AI is going to solve everything and it's going to be the best thing ever. And everything's going to use AI. And if you're not using AI, you're going to be left behind. And AI is going to solve world peace, solve hunger, and everyone's going to be able to just paint for a living. And on the other side, oh, AI is the worst thing ever. It is taking away our humanity. It is destroying the earth, destroying the planet. Uh, it's taking away jobs and all of this stuff in between. And it's worse than nuclear weapons. So he's trying to the filmmaker is trying to, you know, square that circle between the two. He doesn't really find an answer, but it boils down to people are people. And this is just the new thing. Doesn't mean it's not going to have an impact. It doesn't mean it doesn't have a future, but let's take a step back and calm down, because there is this whole all or nothing approach to AI. And so I like to take a step back and let's talk about why this tool exists and what we could do with it. So, first thing, above all else, you as an agency owner, what you need to focus on above anything else is your connection with your clients. Your clients don't care what theme you use. They don't care what CMS you use. And you're going to tell me, oh no, my clients require WordPress. They need WordPress. No, they don't. I worked at an agency that specialized in banks and credit unions. We had hundreds and hundreds of banks and credit union clients. Not a single one of those clients was put on WordPress. We put every single one on Joomla. You know how many clients came to us asking for Joomla? Zero. You know how many came to us asking for WordPress? Quite a few, because that's what they've heard of. But they're hiring you as the expert. You want to be an agency that understands their needs, understands their goals, understands why they're coming to you in the first place. You don't want to be an order taker. You're not McDonald's. You don't want somebody to come to you and just say, I want the Big Mac, and you give them a Big Mac. You want to be able to sit down and talk about why they need catering and what allergy needs the audience may have, and all these special things. Vito likes to talk about there's different agencies for like the different price points, from like private chef all the way down to fast food, etc. Human connection is what is going to differentiate you more than anything. And that's what we have to remember in the age of AI, is that nothing replaces humans being humans. And that is what people are going to remember. There's the perception paradox. Everyone talks about the perception paradox. Now, think about the your favorite host and web host in the world. Okay, great. Now think about your least favorite web host in the world. Okay. There's probably a good chance that some of you had opposite lists, or maybe someone's favorite web host is someone else's least favorite web host. Yes, as a whole, there are, hosts that have, generally better Trustpilot scores, or, better uptimes and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, perception is what matters way more than what the data says. I'll give you an example that not tied to web hosting. So Comcast is a big internet service provider and TV provider here in the U.S. They bought NBC Universal years ago. So if you ever watched 30 Rock, Cabletown, Comcast is Cabletown when they bought NBC. If you ask anyone on that's in the U.S. if Comcast is a well-liked company, almost everyone will say no without hesitation to talk about how bad of a company it is. But they win JD Power customer service awards all the time because 98% satisfaction can still set a perception that everyone hates you, because the people that are telling the stories, they're telling human stories about how they waited all day and the cable person didn't come, or they didn't listen, or the salesperson lied, or whatever the case may be. And those are the stories that are going to be told again and again and again. You need to find human stories about your agency that get people to tell you all the cool, interesting stuff that you did to help your clients. Think about Disney. Disney is a great example. Disney always does these little things above and beyond to, make people talk about them in a positive way. If you leave a stuffed animal at a Disney park and it's for your kid and they find it, they won't just send it back to you. They'll send it back to you with like photos throughout the parks of the little adventure, the stuffed monkey or whatever had, that your kid could see why it ran away, things like that. That is what you need to focus on. And AI can help you get there, but none of this replaces human connection. Seth Godin said networking that matters is helping people achieve their goals. And let's talk about streamlining success with AI. So, with all of this, you need to have a system in place. Figure out the workflows of where you're going to use AI. I don't care what tools you use. You can use Copilot, you can use ChatGPT, you can use Claude, you can use um, uh, anything you want, but don't just spend money to spend money. There's literally people out there bragging about how much they spend in tokens. I was at a conference and somebody was, not that long ago, and someone's like, if you're not wasting at least $20,000 a month in AI, you're doing it wrong. And I'm just like, what are we talking about here? Yes, learning and mistakes will happen and you'll figure out what makes sense. But figure out what workflows make sense, where you can use AI, where you shouldn't use AI, what are the guardrails in place, do some tests, do some validation, make sure it works before you just turn it on, and identify where it saves time and where it just wastes time. A lot of people are using AI and prompting and having to reprompt and again and again and again to do something they could have just done themselves. So figure out where it makes sense for your workflow and find that process and test it and track time against it. Everyone hates tracking time, but if you're doing billable hours, figure out where you're saving time and where you're not saving time. If you are doing billable hours and if your time is the agency owners that's getting billed, the first thing you should look at AI is all the things that's non-billable. That would be the easiest thing to focus on. Nothing client related, everything non-billables. So things like internal bookkeeping, all that stuff. I talked to an agency owner who took all of the internal emails that he's ever sent his team and he trained it on a model. And now his team has to ask the virtual him before him. They go to him so he can focus on winning larger business. So figure out what it is and then test it. And don't just assume AI is better because it's AI. It might not be, but don't just set it loose. And please don't set it loose on any client facing work without being very clear about your use of AI, just so that everyone can have set expectations. This is going to probably ruffle some feathers, especially this week. I am a huge believer in paid education. Don't just trust influencers. Don't just take a course on YouTube or LinkedIn and assume you know everything there is to know about AI. I promise you, you don't. The biggest recommendation that I can is take an AI course from a higher education university. I listed a few on here, like in my state, University of Wisconsin, School of Business, they have an AI Essentials certificate course, which teach you how to prompt and how to think and how to talk to an AI effectively. MIT has a different course than what I took called No Code and Agentic AI from MIT Professional Education. Microsoft with Masterclass is something that's called Lead with AI certificate, and Masterclass also has an AI Fundamentals. All of these courses cost hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, and I know that seems scary, but the reason it's going to be worth it is twofold. Number one, if you invest in professional education from a real credentialed, accredited institution, um, you're more apt to use it. And two, they don't have a skin in the game. They're not an affiliate. Microsoft in this case is for the Microsoft example, because obviously they have Copilot, but MIT doesn't have an affiliate relationship. University of Wisconsin doesn't have an affiliate relationship. You can trust it and actually talk to people about what worked, what didn't work in an educational setting. And it's the best thing I ever did was taking my MIT course. So please take a look into that. I highly recommend it. Zig Ziglar said, "You can have everything in life you want if you just help other people get what they want." And Dale Carnegie said, "You can close more business in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get people interested with you." It all goes back to the human connection. I've built an entire career, including acquiring a company that Andrew used to own, just by building human connections. And be genuine, be yourself. Figure out what makes you unique and add value left and right. Don't talk about yourself. Add value, add value, add value, add value, add introductions, help left and right. And eventually people will come back to you and want to do business with you or recommend you because they'll remember how you went out of your way to help them or introduce them or anything at all. And I don't mean just once. I mean consistently. Consistently add value every time you can without expecting or asking for anything in return. Because people remember the human connection and they talk about the experiences. What are some experiences and human connections I've made in recent years? This is just a small example. I sent out 80 pounds of pasta to tons of WordPress influencers. I've made stuffed animals of logos of some of our clients. I sent mugs at the start of lockdown with people's names on them. Bottom right, I've sent personal telegrams. Yes, telegrams still exist. And yes, they're very expensive, but I've never not gotten a reply on a telegram ever. And I guarantee you, people will talk about that telegram for years to come. I've sent out, I instead of sending a pitch deck and a PDF, I put it onto a ViewMaster slide reel and put that in the mail because people remember experiences and talk about them and they care about that human connection. AI is a tool. It's all it is. AI also has a lot of security issues. There's been a lot of new stuff happening in the world of AI security. Lovable uh, exposed a bunch of credentials. Meta exposed stuff, training data, exposed stuff. So, however you do AI, just do it safely. We have a tool that can help you do that on hosting.com. It's enterprise graded AI, which includes Cloudflare Enterprise, top to bottom, um, as well as an AI security suite on the server as well, uh, uh, called Monarchs top to bottom. So you can run any agent you want on there. There's also a vibe coding tool if you wanted to use that. There's a free tier. You can check it out at hosting.com. But however you do it, just make sure you trust what you're putting into AI and you disclose how you interact with AI so that your clients are well aware. And if, for example, if you don't use AI for any writing of content, that's fine. Just make it clear and say, hey, everything's human written. And there's now plugins for like Google Docs and Word that can prove it's all been human written because of how the keystrokes happened and things. So there's ways out there that you can show on audit trails if you need to. There's that QR code again if you want to get matched with somebody, as well as maybe getting some presents. Will it be 80 pounds of pasta? I don't know. Probably won't be 80 pounds of pasta, but it'll be something cool that I'll randomly send out to people. Will it be a telegram? Maybe. Would love to connect with you. And sorry we had to kind of speed run through this, but I want to make sure that I end on time. So even if we started a little bit late. So thank you so much. And I hope to connect with you on the interwebs.
Well, Demo, you did well. That's we don't need to listen to you at 1.5 or 2, do we? Great presentation. And yeah, your AI solution at hosting.com is great. Ollie talked about that earlier in the day. It took you 3 coffee offers to get me over 3 years, but you got me in the end, and you managed to steal the deal in 2019, I think it was. The timing was quite incredible. 31st December, you got my company, and then the world closed down. What can we say about that? But anyway, it's lovely to see you. Thanks for finishing on time. You're a genius. There's Ali, my very, very nice colleague that works with me at Atarim, is now craving pasta. We've got Zachary's said that's a great analogy. Christian Krakoa, as we're now calling him, krakoa.com. People go to that. It's that name was born at Web Agency Summit 6. Demo, it's been lovely knowing you. It's been great seeing you, and I'll see you in the real at some stage as well. Thanks, mate.
Of course, my pleasure. Thanks.